Not very rich. But even if he's not, if he owns 100% of the bank and it is a $5 million asset, you can calculate. But he started with 50 rupees. It's true. What do you guys think about it? What can you do? Which is one of the pyramid that do not focus on becoming rich. Muhammad Ibn did not focus on it. Not with Bill Gates, not with Michael Dell, not with Henry Ford, not with Adam Carnegie. In fact, let me talk to you about the story of Andrew Carnegie. How many of you know about Andrew Carnegie? Andrew Carnegie. Well, it started, I don't know. And beyond that, you know the life of Andrew Carnegie? We're going to share that story. This should be the inspiration with which you should approach your life. Andrew Carnegie came to the United States at the age of 10. Why did he come to the United States? Because his father went bankrupt running a Scottish windmill in those days, which was used for processing grain, windmills in Scotland. He went bankrupt, no jobs, family of 4 or 5, but when they came to Pittsburgh, young Andrew, 10 years old, and his father started working in a small steel factory. Andrew Carnegie's job was to put coal into the fire. And to come back home, all coal pot, suit on his face. Often he didn't have the water to drink, go to sleep, go with his father to the factory next day. Now, when he was working in the steel mill, which was a small furnace, he was studying very carefully how the reaction between coal, fire, and iron ore happens to create steel. And he came up with a new way of manufacturing steel. Didn't go to school, didn't go to college. And at the age of 23 or 24, he started his own company called US Steel. It's a very small company, which by the time he was 42 years old, became the biggest steel company in the world, called US Steel. In fact, it was the biggest company in the world. And then, of course, the rest of the story follows, like I talked about Carnegie Mellon, Carnegie Foundation gave him all the money to create all kinds of foundation. But this is how many businessmen started their lives. It was survival. His father was getting old. He was concerned whether he could, with this minimum salary, would support the family. So he started his own steel, very small, which became the biggest steel company in the world, biggest company in the world. By the way, he gave Swami Vivekananda $1 million. When Swami Vivekananda gave a speech in Pittsburgh, he was very impressed. He came to that meeting where Swami Vivekananda was invited. And Andrew Carnegie, Nelson Rockefeller, they all came. And in fact, after Vivekananda's talk, he wrote a very famous piece which all of you should read, called The Gospel of Wealth. Can you read it in Google and read that, Gospel of Wealth, which was written by Andrew Carnegie. The basic message is simple. The message is that some of us are lucky, but he was not lucky, that wealth accumulates around us from society. Because it accumulates around us, it's our duty to give it back to society. Where are those businessmen born in this country? I hear that Mukesh is building $1 billion home. And you guys are watching and talking about it. I think time has come to really rethink the kind of country that we want to build, the kind of values we want to engage with society. And in the process, really become proud of what we are doing, not because of the size of the house, the value of the house, or the value of the car, but the value of the impact that it will have in society. Okay? So did I answer the question? So I think you have to keep in mind that spirit. Whether you're in the tornado one more, but all the 3 tornadoes are working. The positive side of it is a lot of things have to change. The tornadoes are very destructive. Whether we like it or not, they're destructive. But the positive side of it is gone. The level playing field is an opportunity for you. think that's how I would look at it. I look at the positive side. So the level of explaining. I'll pass this, I talked about it. Yeah, this is important. As a result, you would see the future opportunities will evolve along these two vectors. Whether you like it or not, there will be a lot of movement from, which you discussed earlier, from consumption-centric towards conservation-centric models. And the second axis would be from point solutions to holistic solutions. That means when you're thinking of a car, nano car, one way of thinking about how to make a nano car better, the other way of thinking about what should be the transportation system, which is dignified, which is peaceful with nature, and which is efficient. Mark my word, peaceful with nature. Then you will perhaps think of a system, think of a car, which is very different from the nano car. Or maybe you may not need a car. Think of a village setup, where the small communities move around in bicycles. It's healthy, keeps you physically fit, doesn't hurt the nature. And the biggest thing about bicycle, it keeps you about the balancing act. And life is about balancing. Anyway, so we will continue to remind it. But the point is here that the world would move towards the top right. Now, you have a choice again. This will happen. You'll be surprised it's happening in America. But actually, it's much easier to make it happen in this country because America has an inertia on the top or bottom corner. Near the left bottom corner, heavily into it. And it's been there for the last 50 years. 80% of our population is not served with any products. So our mind is free. So the products that we can create would be at the top right now. So you have a strategic advantage vis-a-vis American counterparts. Because you're living right here with people with much less inertia, much stronger desire perhaps. I want the car. I want the Western product. But fortunately, because we are poor, those products are not available as much. You know, with me? Very important point. And then the new technology is emerging, which is positive side. The nano, bio, opto, info, the four technologies which are going to shape your life. So there is a new technology which is giving you the tools. Open plain field which you could participate and create products. And you have to think, how do you connect the supply side, which are these technologies, with the demand side, which is... Now this I will not get into, but I talked about it. It's a very serious analysis, but you guys have to learn this kind of analysis in the school. Shows how much of the energy in a truck is used for moving the truck. And this is the part, 11%. I talked about it earlier. The rest is wastage. Now people who are interested in automotive industry, who still believe that we should use trucks and cars, which is the reserve the right approach. You can reserve the possibility that cars will exist for the next 100 years. But then challenge, how do I remove the number bars which are wasted energy? And could I make this 11, 50, 0.51 as opposed to 0.1? This is a great opportunity for you. But then the first thing, obviously, as you could see, one side I talk about know thyself. Know the areas where your passion is. And you have to do analysis. It's not just because someone has said that's a great idea. You have to really get into these kind of analysis. This took a lot of time, 6 months of work, presented in one chart.